Now, I do hope that most of you that are watching this video know that The Exorcist is a classic. Like, it's regarded in the Godfather conversation. It's a masterpiece in the horror genre, and it's regarded as, if not the greatest horror film ever made. So here we are, 2023. We have a sequel to that movie, and we got the guy who directed the new Halloween trilogy. Oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Here's Johnny.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Expecto Patronum!
The Exorcist Believer stars Leslie Odom Jr., Lidya Jewett, and Olivia O'Neill, and is about when two girls disappear into the woods and return 3 days later, but with no memory of what happened to them. From director David Gordon Green, and already all you horror fans are clicking off saying, I don't want to see it. Okay, let's talk about this movie. So, my expectations going in, I wanted to see this movie. I thought the trailers looked good. I was like, that doesn't look like a bad movie. And listen, David Gordon Green, for what he's done for the Halloween trilogy, I like the 2018 one. Halloween Kills, take it or leave it. Halloween Ends, he takes a risk. Everybody hates him for it, so now he's doing The Exorcist. And like I said in the beginning, The Exorcist it's here, guys. It's a masterpiece. You touch this movie, you're gonna be criticized very, very pickily. And honestly, with this movie, I can tell you this. I think there is good in this movie. I think Universal and Blumhouse came together and said, we want to make a sequel to The Exorcist, and we want to make something good. I just don't think the script and the director were the perfect fit. The biggest praise I can give this movie is the acting all around. I think Leslie Odom Jr. as our main character is very good in this movie. I think his character development in the very beginning and the decision he makes and goes through this entire movie and what he is perspective on religion itself, it's really interesting. I love all of that. Because this movie is going to talk about things and religion and people are going to say some stuff and I get it. But The Exorcist, the original, dealt with the same thing. Here we are in 2023, this movie's going to do stuff and people are going to say some crap. But his character development and the decision he makes and what he goes through this movie, I thought was the most interesting aspect in the religion aspect. Then you take these two girls. We have two girls who are now got demons all up in them. So they are both very good in this movie. I think the main girl of the Leslie Odom Jr.'s daughter, she gets to shine more than the other girl, which is kind of a downside because at the very end of this movie, it doesn't impact both of them as much except for the one girl. The other girl, you're like, I feel bad for her, but the other one, we kind of care for and we like watch the whole movie. The other girl is also very good in this movie. Both of them. Seriously, when they have these demon makeup on, creepy stuff. When they look at the camera with their eyes, I mean, they're doing some great stuff. I have to give them huge credit. All the supporting cast, they're all good in the movie. Seriously. David Gordon Green in the Halloween trilogy used a lot of side characters and did a lot of comedy. This movie has maybe 2-3 comedy jokes, but it is a serious take movie, which I am thankful for. I was worried to death they were going to go that route of like comedy in The Exorcist. I was like, listen, don't go that route. They don't, and I respect that very much. I think the score is very good. Hearing the original Exorcist score was really cool to hear in IMAX. The sound design, the sound mixing, I thought the cinematography for the most part looked really good, especially during the Exorcist scenes. There's some great looking shots and some very creative angles that I really appreciated. And like I said, I think the overall story is there for the first half. So let's get into this movie. It's The Exorcist. There's expectations here, but don't go in thinking, oh, The Exorcist is a masterpiece, so this movie has to be that. You're not touching the original Exorcist. So I went in this movie thinking, okay, just give me a good movie, a good story, good characters. The story for the first half of this movie, I was into. The whole searching for the daughters, finding them, and then there's something wrong with them, and they're possessed, and it's evil lurking. It was so good. Until it became The Exorcist sequel. Once that moment happens, because in the trailer it shows the original actress comes back from The Exorcist, we're having her in this movie, she's in the movie for 10 minutes, maybe less. And as soon as she enters, the dialogue changes. The editing feels so much more clunky because there's so much going on with two girls, two families, and her, and you gotta add in the sequel stuff with Reagan. It felt so extra. It did not need to be there. If this movie was marketed as Believer, it wasn't even called The Exorcist, and you watch this movie and then you go and see it and you're like, oh my god, it's an Exorcist sequel, it would have been way better. I promise you. But it's marketed as The Exorcist, and they have to throw The Exorcist in there. The music, the score, this character, all this stuff. It did not need to be in this movie. The movie was doing so good. I was into this father-daughter relationship and his decision on religion and the conversation and them becoming creepy and what happened to these two girls in the woods. Then it became an Exorcist sequel, and I think it downgraded the movie, honestly. It became too much. I do think Ellen Bernstein is good in the movie when she's in it. Again, she's not in this movie very much, but she felt like the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that came on Netflix with the original character coming back and she didn't feel like she needed to be needed. This movie felt the same exact way. It's the same way I felt. And let's talk about David Gordon Green. Listen. So I live in South Carolina. His company is based in very, very close to me. Have you ever seen the show Righteous Gemstones? Freaking great show. He made the Halloween trilogy, so there's a lot that I can connect with because he films near me. But with this movie, I don't want to be mean. I do not think he was the right person to direct or write this movie. I saw that he co-wrote the movie with somebody, and I saw that Dan McBride had his hand in there with the writing. I just think the script felt like it needed to be Exorcist when it could have been something different and original, and maybe then connect to The Exorcist. I mean, hell, they already said it's going to be a trilogy. Why did they put so much in this first movie? Because once it becomes an Exorcist sequel, the movie just gets clustered, and it's so annoying. Like, it feels annoying to say that. And David Gordon Green's direction, this atmosphere in this movie never reaches creepy for me. It never reaches anything that we've seen in other Exorcist movies. This didn't feel different from anything that you've seen from the past 10 years. It feels like you've seen this kind of stuff before, but it just adds in the Exorcist music and a certain character. That's really it. And when the Exorcist scene happens, in my opinion, they do good creepy stuff. There's good sound design. There's really evil dialogue being said. There's a decision made that I really loved at the very end of this movie, and I'm glad the movie actually went for it and they ended the way they ended. I'm actually really happy with that. I just think there was too many people in The Exorcist. Like, there was like 7 people in the room with these two girls. It was cutting to everybody's reaction shot. It was saying people's dialogue. People were talking over each other, and then this person happens, and it's just like, the original was so much better with 2 people in the room with the girl, and then after the events of the first one with the one priest going in there versus her with Reagan. This movie feels so much bigger, and it didn't need to be. In the end, it's a watchable movie. It's a fine watch, but with it being Exorcist in the title, I think it damaged the movie itself. And by the end of it, I think if it would have been just called Believer or anything else, and we would have got the same movie, I think this movie would have been better. I'm gonna give The Exorcist Believer a C+. I did not hate this movie, I did not love this movie, but I have to admit, I'm disappointed, and that it hurts a little bit more because I wanted this movie to be good. I was pulling for David Gordon Green after the Halloween trilogy. I like Halloween's Ends, I do. I just think he was the wrong director, and they're gonna do 2 more, and I think he's already planned to direct both of them. We'll see what they do with the sequel, but how this movie ended, I like the ending. I'm intrigued to see what they could do next, so I'm gonna give out a little more hope for that sequel, but for a first movie, it was kind of forgettable, it was kind of okay. Anyway, guys, enjoyed this movie review. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.